One there represents the biggest ever win in a grand final. Hawthorn victorious by 96 points. Dunstall got 7 goals, Abbott 6 and Brereton 5. And for Melbourne, Lyon 2 and Williams 2. And in the last quarter, Hawthorn beating 8-4 to 1-6. And I think Peter McKenna and Ian Robertson, that really does tell the story. They were much fresher.
Well, I think as much as they were fresher, they were also far superior in just about every facet of the field. They had great players all over. I think that what we should do when we're analysing this match is give the plaudits to the team who won and not criticise the other team because they just weren't good enough on the day. And having to come from an elimination final, Peter, even they lost 5 matches before, I think it was the last match that they beat Carlton by 5 goals to stay in the 5. So they've been playing up matches for about 10 weeks.
They've done very, very well, Melbourne, to get where they did. And you see the final stats, but that Hawthorn performance today was one of excellence in football. I don't think anyone could have possibly beaten them on that form today. They didn't have a weak link right from the start where Di Domenico took over. Look at those handballs. 124 to 63, and all of those were effective, and they were running players down the ground. Their tackling was great. And when you've got a 3-pronged attack of Dunstall, Brereton, and of course Abbott kicking 6, Dunstall 7 and 5, to Dermot Brereton, what hope have you got? Because their back line was doing out well. Ayres and Langford were sensational in the last line of defence, and even there's Alan Jeans. Well, what a dream. And Normie Goss and Barry Gavin, the physiotherapist. Robbo, what a dream result for Alan Joyce to come in for 1 year and coach a team like that. I mean, I think you and I could go out and coach them and they'd win the flag, and Jeans, he'll probably come back next year.
Well, actually, I think it indicates that Hawthorn are a very, very close-knit unit, and they do respect the people that the administration put in charge of the football team. And that's indicated by the way that these fellows have reacted. They've played in 6 consecutive grand finals, and you would think that they may ease up. I think you made mention also at the finish that they just go for every possible save up in defence. They're 100 points or 80 points in front in a grand final, and they were still fighting to save behinds that Melbourne looked like kicking. And I think Alan Joyce, really, you have to dip your lid to him. And there were quite a few people behind the scenes there. You mentioned Normie Goss, and I think Alan Jeans probably, even though he wasn't in charge, he would have had a bit to do with it as well.
Well, John Northey would be an unhappy man, but they've done well, and he's done well as a coach. But look, some of the guys that people never mention, James Morrissey, Andrew Collins has improved out of sight, Peter Schwab, there's John Kennedy with a cup, Dunstall, a terrific asset to have him there, but really, Scotty McGuinness did his job on Lyon. How many people would have thought he could beat Gary Lyon? And he's made a big difference to the team coming back after that serious illness. John Kennedy, bad luck to young Chris Whitman, new. Well, every time he gets the ball, 60-metre kicks. He's been a great finals player, and, well, you can't speak highly enough and give them enough accolades, the Hawthorn Football Club.
OK, thanks Ian Robertson, and thanks Peter McKenna for that summary on the 88 Grand Final. Dressing room interviews upcoming. We'll take a break. Back shortly. And welcome back to our coverage of that one day in September for 1988, Hawthorn winning the grand final. Let's go now to the Melbourne rooms though, and obviously an air of disappointment there. Don Scott speaks with their coach, John Moore.
John, a very hollow feeling?
Oh yes, well I must say, Don, we expected to do a lot better than what we did out there, but you know, we were beaten by a better side on the day, and I really couldn't say much more than that.
You made them a lot of positional moves early. Do you think they were cues going into the ruck?
Well, we just thought we'd try something to perhaps catch them the wrong way, just choose. It was only for about 3 to 5 minutes that we wanted to try that, just so that, and hopefully we thought we'd get the ball out of the centre and make them make a few changes, because our side, you know, quite obviously everybody knew that we relied on Jimmy Steins. I thought he did a great job for us, but just to try and catch them on the wrong foot, but unfortunately it didn't work.
You took the boys away immediately after the game. What did you say to them?
Oh, well, I just said, you know, you've got to remember these moments, and everybody says you go through failure before you have great success. Last year we went through failure. We've been through it again this year, so, you know, we certainly have to make up for it next year. But at the same time, I must say, Don, that, you know, I'm full of praise to our boys. There's certainly not many people believe that we were a team good enough to get into the grand final. Perhaps we didn't play well out there, but nobody can take it away. At least we were the second best team.
John, what part of the game do you think that the game started slipping away?
Well, I just felt we didn't appear to have the legs at all. We didn't appear to be working to the packs, and certainly the on-ground or on-ball players working hard to get to the front of the packs, and certainly the position players behind the packs. But, I just thought they outcrumbed us, they outrun us, they ran us. They smothered the ball very, very well, and, we just couldn't combat that.
What about finals experience? If you look at the Hawthorn side, they've had over 100 games, they've been in finals, your guys went in very inexperienced. Do you think that had a bearing?
Oh, yes, that certainly did have a bearing on it, but at the same time, how do you get experience? You can't do anything about that. They knew what it was all about, and we certainly were still learning, but, it's just that they were the better side on the day, and perhaps it was experience, I don't know, but at least now we've got one under our belt.
Well, John, bad luck. I know what it feels like, and commiserations, and thank you for your cooperation.
Thanks, Don. Good.
Don Scott speaking with an obviously disappointed Melbourne coach, John Northey. I think that would be the understatement of the week, wouldn't it? Let's go to the Hawthorn rooms now, and Bernie Quinlan, top forward, speaking with another top forward in Dermot Brereton.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. I've got Dermot Brereton here. Congratulations, Dermot.
Thanks very much, Bernie.
When did you think you won the game? That second quarter, you played all fantastic. The pressure was relentless right throughout that first half, and you really set it up in that first half to go on and perform in that second half the way you did.
I was confident we could go on with it at half-time. I think everybody had that air of confidence, but, full credit to Melbourne. Like, they'd come from the elimination final, and there was a stiff breeze, and I thought if they had been able to chip away and kick a few in that third quarter, they might be a real show. But once again, full credit to our back line, led by Gary Ayres, and I don't think you can overlook Andrew Collins, who played a fantastic game as well.
Yeah, the back line was fantastic. Did this team have something to prove from last year and yourself personally?
I think, that, lingers in the back of every player's mind. But, the composition of this year's team was varied from last year's, and we realised that last year's gone, and if we didn't win this year, by 5 o'clock tonight, this year's gone as well. So you can only pencil in your achievements year by year.
Well, it's been fantastic. What's that? You've played in 6 grand finals. You're only 24 years of age. You've really had a dream football career.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to play at a successful club, and a club that looks after me in the right way.
Well, you're a big reason for a part of that Hawthorn success, Dermot.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah, you're great in that centre-half forward position, you and Jason Dunstall. Where do you go from here? You're going to London this week to
We depart Wednesday evening. Robert Dippier, Domenico, John Lawrence, the Chief Executive of the Hawthorn Football Club, and the party of 3 Carlton officials to promote the London game. And then we're off to Toronto, and then it's quits for the football commitment for the season.
Fantastic. I think you should have a good night tonight.
Yeah, I'd say so.
You don't need much urging to have a good night, I'm sure of that.
No, I'm sure we'll go on willpower late into the night.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that, Dermot, and have a good night.
Thank you very much, Bernie.
Back to you, boys. Thank you.
Thanks, Bernie, and thanks to Dermot. Let's check some of the individual player stats now, and I think it rather appropriately we begin with the player, gentleman, that won the Norm Smith medal.
Well, what a tremendous game Gary Ayres played consistently throughout the 4 quarters. I don't think anyone really could establish what position he was playing in, but he just kept getting the ball and pumping it forward, and when he does kick it, he kicks it so well.
Alan Johnson for Melbourne.
Well, Alan battled hard. He was one of their better players, but they really didn't have anyone that took over the whole game. But Alan's a very skillful player. He's into the 30-year-old mark now, I think, and I just hope he sticks around for another couple of years because they really need his skill.
John Platten for Hawthorn.
Well, Platten is just irrepressible. He's fantastic the way he gets into the bottom of packs, and he does a lot of tackling and a lot of chasing, and his 17 kicks and 9 hand passes was certainly a workmanlike effort from the little rover.
Gary Lyon kicked 2 goals for Melbourne.
Well, I thought Gary Lyon was very disappointing. I thought that he'd be able to defeat Scott McGuinness, but McGuinness took him right out of the game, and it was not easy, though, on the forward line when your side's being thrashed.
Paul Abbott for Hawthorn.
Well, I guess Paul Abbott could be considered a surprise packet, but he's been able to hold his place in this side throughout the season. But I don't think anyone expected Abbott to kick 6 goals, and his was a tremendous performance from a very underrated player.
Jimmy Steins for Melbourne.
Well, I think Steins definitely was Melbourne's best player. He had 15 kicks and 25 hit-outs, and with Steve O'Dwyer out, he had a big responsibility. I thought he tried his heart out all day, but just weight of numbers overtook him in the finish.
Comments from